Hi everyone.
Hello everyone.
Good to see you again Thursday night, and we have some hot topics for you to discuss.
It's Pete and Grada from the Purple House at Forth, if you're watching this and don't know us.
If you're watching this for the first time, every Thursday night at 7 o'clock we answer your questions. Questions we get regarding health and people that are confused or people looking for advice. And so tonight the topic is children. And the reason we chose children is because we've been seeing a lot of children in the clinic recently at our facility. These children have been coming to us either because they're restless, they're not sleeping, they have personality disorders, or they've been diagnosed with ADHD.
And the school is often wanting them to be put on Ritalin, which the parents don't like, and I don't blame them.
And some of the children, or the parents I should say, have reached the end of the road, so they come to us with like really thick psychological reports, everything that's wrong with the child. And then we have to figure out what the next step is. So before we go on, I want to share a case history that's really, really awesome. And Peter, you tell the case history.
Well, I had a couple bring their little girl to me, it's a few months ago now, and she was, not concentrating in class, and
how old was she? 6?
Was quite angry and disruptive in the home and not cooperating with the parents, and
she'd been like that for years, and I think her age group was between 6 and 8.
And the main thing that I recommend for children is to cut out sugars and high starch carbs and increase the fats in the diet. Good fats. So if kids like butter, let them eat it by the block, I say. Or if they like drinking cream, let them drink cream, not milk, cream.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're both good fats. Mm-hmm. And then I also recommend they build up the good intestinal bacteria with probiotics and give them good nutrition, which the Mighty Mins is a good balanced supplement for children. If they're not getting haven't had good nutrition for a while, that'll build their nutrients up while they're building their digestion up. And it wasn't long before they had a new child. She was good, a good kid. So underneath it all is the child's not bad.
Well, no
child is bad.
No,
we have to blame ourselves if we've got kids that misbehave.
Well, yeah,
really,
it's a bit harsh.
Well, in a way, because we're the ones in charge of what they eat.
So usually the question that I get when people come to us, the question that I get is, well, but what is my child going to eat? So I spend the whole hour explaining, what needs to change about the diet, like sugars have to go, all the unmentionables have to go, like lollies and products that are so processed that I don't even know what they are. And quite often when Pete and I look at the live blood and we test the blood sugar levels in little children, the blood sugar levels are actually a lot of the time off the scale, which is horrendous.
And I've also tested urine numbers of little kids, even 4 and 5 year olds, and they've had as bad a liver stress as any adult I've seen.
So it's really scary.
So they've clogged their liver up with stored fat from too many sugars.
Already when they are 4. Yeah. And, this is your children, our children we're talking about.
Our grandchildren.
Well, I'm talking about their generation. Yeah. The children don't know. So then what I get to hear, always get to hear this, mothers, they'll say, oh, but my child is not going to eat that. My child will refuse to eat it. My child won't have this. My child won't have that. My child only eats lollies, basically. Or my child only eats apples. Or my child only eats white bread with jam. Or my child only eats hot chips. And so the question here that I have for you is, who is in charge? Okay, who is in charge? it's your responsibility. It's not the child's responsibility. The child shouldn't be in charge, as harsh as it sounds.
But quite often the parents will ask me also, what can I give the kids for school lunches and things like that? Well, if you go on to Mr. Google, there's lots, of low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic foods for kids and school lunches even.
And we've got suggestions in books as well.
Yeah.
So like I recommend that you Google Pete Evans, there's Christine Crow now, there are many other. Plus we've created booklets, download the Purple House breakfast smoothie. So you can have smoothies or leftover tea from the night before, but you need to increase the fats again. And children get used to fats because actually their body isn't silly. Their body knows, after the sugar cravings stop, which might take a week or so, their body will actually start to ask for salts and healthy fats.
But often the cravings is due to lacking energy. So if they're getting good energy from lots of good fats, they won't crave the sugars.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's tell a happy story. So that's one thing, that parents say, well, oh, my child's going to refuse to do that. Well, I'm just going to say, believe in yourself, okay? And believe in your leadership skills. Step up and be the leader of your family and also lead by example. So you'll have the same meal plan. So anyway, which leads me to finishing off this happy story about the little girl who went from like a little monster to being a great, well-behaved or happy child. That's really what I should say, and doing well at school. So suddenly Peter had to see the father.
Just recently the father came to me and he was having trouble with anxiety and panic disorder,
tummy aches,
and digestive issues and lots of things going on. And he said, I've just started a week or so ago on what you recommended my daughter. And I said, good on you. Because that's the answer too for adults, is getting your energy from fats rather than sugars. But quite often, to get the fats digested well, we need to be taking beet flow to get the bile flow going, and I always recommend an enzyme for adults or even for kids. We've read articles saying we'd be doing our kids a favour if we're giving them enzymes with their meals to help get the nutrients out of the food.
Yeah, so the enzymes... Yep. And hi everyone, I'm watching all the messages appear and disappear. So sorry we're getting so engrossed in our talking, but thanks for tuning in everyone. So this is a topic that I feel quite passionate about, as you can imagine, because I don't like to see little children suffer, and I don't like kids to get labels that then stick. Labels tend to stick, right? If you've been labeled ADHD or Asperger's or some other names, worse than that, some children are the opposite. They get lazy because they never have any energy or disruptive. Labels tend to stick. They stick in the classroom, they stick in the teachers. In the teacher's room, I know that because Pete and I have 6 children. We had to go through all this ourselves, although I was pretty strict with my children from super strict actually. I never really had lollies in the house, but in hindsight, I had soybean products for the kids, which are terrible. Don't give your children soybean products because it just acts like a blanket on the immune system. And I probably tended to have low fat stuff because, in the 80s and 90s, that was all the in thing, wasn't it? To cut out fat.
Fats were bad for us.
And now, of course, I didn't do my kids a favor at all. And Caleb, that's our number 3, he had a lot of trouble with eczema and psoriasis. And in desperation, I went to a doctor in Hobart who was actually doing, who diagnosed allergies the same way I do today. And she gave me a really strict list to follow. And I remember feeling completely overwhelmed going home and thinking, what can you eat? And by the way, this was before the time of the high fat diet. So Caleb was always hungry. He was just starving. And I had to cut all dairy out, all gluten out, no grain, nothing. And so I wasn't replacing it with anything. His diet was so limited. I think he had to eat cans of sardines or something like that.
Which for a little kid, you probably get sick of after
and pretty much not much else. So that was so difficult, but even so, I stuck to his new diet probably 50% of the time, and his eczema pretty much cleared up, and his behavior as well. But now I know better, of course. Thankfully, we always had soups, but today I make a lot of bone broth, which is even better. So bone broth heals your body from the inside out, and you can also buy the stock powder already like made up. In the clinic.
Quite often we'll have a bowl of bone broth soup with lots of good low starch veggies in as well, and I either get a big spoonful of coconut oil and melt it in, or mix in another big spoonful of macadamia nut oil. So it really increases the oils, which keeps the energy levels nice and even for hours. And the brain takes 25% of our energy, so it's giving us good brain function, not up and down like sugars.
Yeah, because when let's say you have sugar or chocolate, the energy levels spike, and what do you see in children? They start climbing the curtains, they jump up and down on the couch, they run off, they go silly. They go silly, and then we think, but we just need to see it clearly. That's totally what they're eating. What they're eating totally reacts with their brain within seconds. And so we have this product called Relief Powder, which is really more for adults, but there is actually a child version. This comes in a drink, which is an enzyme, which is really great. That breaks through allergies and starts cleaning up, toxins that your child has in their body from eating years of wrong food. And this product is amazing. It's called Biohawk. So it's also on our website. So Cliff Hawkins, do you want to tell us a little bit?
The one for children is called Digest Easy. Yeah. It's a frozen liquid.
I'll just tell you quickly the history. So Professor Cliff Hawkins, his name is, isn't it? He's fairly old now, but he was a real trailblazer. And decades ago, one of his daughters, or his grandchild, it might have been his grandchild, suffered from a brain seizure so badly that she was put in hospital, and they were going to do an operation on her brain, or take part of her brain out to stop the seizures. And so Cliff Hawkins, he already had this powder developed, but he was using it on chooks and horses with good
pigs.
Yeah, with really, really good results. So for their tummy and for, things that irritate their body. There's a cat behind us. Anyway, so he went to the hospital and took the child home because he didn't want her to be operated on her brain to stop the seizures. And he immediately started her on the powder, and she totally improved. Like, she totally got better pretty much, within a very short period of time. So that was his big jump from jumping from the pet food industry to humans. And she works for him today. And you can actually Google that. I'll put a link in the site so you can Google it for yourself. But Professor Hawkins, he was one of the first professionals to introduce MRIs into Australia. And he told Peter me that he was one of the first people to look at MRIs of children when they had food, and let's say a piece of bread, and the child's allergic to the bread, and within seconds of it entering, within seconds of eating a sandwich, there would be a reaction in the brain that the brain would swell up, and that swelling would literally last, for hours.
And cause irritation.
That's
in
right.
The brain.
And then the child would eat something else, and the brain would swell again. So the child never had a normal kind of brain frequency or brain function, and ever. And this is our children today. So he was quite shocked that was the case. And that's why he made all these really good products, and he advises people as well what to eat. So when your brain swells, what happens is it's like all irritating and misfiring. It's misfiring. And so, yeah, you don't get the best out of your life. So that's what happens with food. But medically, like the traditional medicine, they still don't see the link between your food and the reactions in your body.
No. Our grandchildren, they've actually grown up on Bioraculus, which is a green powder. Scoop is got about 8 servings or equivalent of 8 servings of fruit and veggies in. The fruit is mainly the darker berries, so a good antioxidant mix. It's a scoop. They have it often in a smoothie or with a bit of yogurt.
Full cream yogurt.
And they have that for breakfast, and it's
really, really good.
Yeah, the two Lisanna's 2 boys, the twins, they grew up on it. They call it their monster juice.
Yeah.
And they had it in water, and they still have it. They're 10 now, which is amazing.
Yeah. And iodine is really good too. So if your child is having an allergic reaction, or you can also tell that from their behaviour. So remember, an allergic reaction can show in behaviours, skin issues, not sleeping, tummy aches, anxiety, depression, nervousness. That is all. You have to see that as an allergic reaction, that the immune system is just kind of tormented by the foods that the child eats.
Yeah.
So iodine will immediately normalize. So quite often when Elijah comes to us and he's got a severe autoimmune disorder, I will put 10 drops on his arm the minute he enters the kitchen door, plus a drink of water. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to mention magnesium as well. Our youngest son, he's got a little boy who's very active. He's just a very active little boy. They give him a teaspoon of magnesium powder every night, otherwise he doesn't sleep well. So normally that's an adult dose, but it doesn't worry his bowels at all. He sleeps soundly, they get a good sleep, and it just helps him relax.
Yeah, so magnesium is great, and you can just do trial and error to work out how much you need, and you know you've had enough when you get diarrhea.
So those, the Bioraculus, the relief powder, the iodine, the magnesium, they can all go in with yogurt and cream and melted coconut oil to make a really good healthy smoothie.
Yeah, and if you have
any time of day. We call it the breakfast smoothie, but you can have it for lunch, you can have it for evening meal. It's a complete meal in itself, just a glass full of that.
I'll do a little blurb on the Facebook when we finish and post the links with all the products. I'll do that. And Pete, you had another really great story. Somebody who came to you.
Yeah, a young couple brought their son to me, who the school was pestering them to put him on Ritalin. He was disruptive in the class and full-blown symptoms of ADHD, what they labelled him with. And I said to him, you've got to change him to the ketogenic diet, low carb, high fat. And I recommended they increase his nutrient intake with the Mighty Mins and also a probiotic for kids. And it was only about 2 or 3 weeks they came back and they said, I've got a perfect little boy. It's amazing. And there's no need for Ritalin if the brain gets all the energy it needs, and it will when we change the kids' diets from sugars to fats.
Yeah, and just remember that bread turns into sugar, bananas turn into, like a banana turns into 9 or 10 teaspoons of sugar, a piece of bread turns into 6 teaspoons of sugar.
All the schools still have fruit breaks, which we tend to disagree with, because the sugar of fruit actually causes inflammation in our bodies. But when people come to me, I write out a little recipe for them so they can ferment their fruits, and their kids can have any amount of that fruit, and it's a good probiotic food. So I tell them to put that in their smoothies. They can drink it to their heart's delight, sweetened with a little bit of honey or a little bit of non-sugar based plant sweetener like stevia or xylitol, and that'll be increasing the good gut bacteria, which there's a big gut-brain connection as well to create good behaviour in kids.
Yeah. And then there was also another couple with a little child that was always constipated.
Yeah.
So
She was only about two or three.
Severely constipated, being everywhere to all the specialists and paediatrician.
And on appearance, which wouldn't have done a bowel any good.
No, most of those...
Long term.
What's that other one that's got artificial sugar in it? So that's another thing you have to beware of, by the way. A lot of products in our food chain have artificial sugar in them, and that also irritates our brain really, really badly. In fact, it rots our brain. So the parents, we recommended the bioregulars because it's a complete food, plus it's got enzymes, plus probiotics and prebiotics, and proteins, everything. Pretty much your child can live on this, plus then some extra fats and water. And so they actually didn't say, oh, but my child's not gonna like it, because actually if your child isn't used to it, they may not like it, okay? So they had really good leadership skills. They went home, put their thinking cap on, and the child didn't like it actually. And so they just got a big syringe from the chemist and mixed the bioregulars powder up with water, put it in the syringe and said it was medicine, like, the child was taking Panadol and other things, and syringed it in her little mouth every day. And she started pooing like a normal person straight away. And she'd had years of agony. So that made us feel really happy too. And also the fact that they actually told us how it worked for them. So we have like dozens of stories like that. But I feel like my concern is as well that I feel sometimes as a parent, don't hand the responsibility over to your child. And when you say to me, oh, but my child's not going to eat it. Well, if your child will only eat lollies or white bread, that's not the way to go about your, being the parent, right? So, I don't know, you just need to think of ways to make it fun and just simplify the whole thing. And think of the foods that you can eat, like Peter said, butter and cream, and we've mentioned the smoothies and the bioregulars, and most children are good with meat.
So, but if they do eat meats, get the ones with the most fat on, and let them eat the fat. Don't cut it off.
Like the lamb chops with fat, and it usually helps them sleep really, really well as well. And then, of course, as a parent, you need to do the same.
Elijah, our little grandson who's got the autoimmune disorder, he would have gone blind with the inflammation, and we started him on meats and fats, bone broths and fermented veggies, and within 2 months the inflammation that was causing his eyes to go blind disappeared.
Yeah, and that was when he was 5. He's 10 now, and so he's still on that same diet. And Peter and I, that's when we tossed everything that we had in our pantry that wasn't any good for Elijah. We tossed it out. It wasn't much, by the way, but we stopped eating bread altogether then at that point in time. So that's 5 years ago now.
If you want to learn how and why the low carb, high fat or ketogenic diets work, I did write a blog on it. So it's under Grada's blogs. If you want to go onto our website and search down,
I'll put a link in there, Peter.
Grada will put
a
link in. It's a bit scientific, but I tried to put it into language. I got really excited when I learned about it because it's very sciencey. It explained everything to me. Why we should be on that sort of diet.
I'll get Peter to find the link. It's probably a year ago, so he can do a little bit of homework, and then I'll post it in the link today. So I noticed there's some questions, so I'll go back in a minute and answer those because we've been yakking now for half an hour. So I hope you find it interesting.
But
yeah.
Kids' health is one of our passions because we need to look after them. So
we need to be in charge.
Healthily.
And just be creative and think of how other people have done it. There have been many other people who have done it. Children will complain a bit sometimes, but actually kids are not silly, and as soon as they start to feel better, they'll cooperate with you as well. So I hope you find this interesting. And there are many more case histories that we can share, of people who've really had a happy ending without doing anything too extreme. And the other thing that I want to say, just to encourage you, all your child needs to eat is like you look at the palms of their hand, and like little kids, it's often just the size like that, 3 times a day. That's really like 3 meals that size. That's really all they need to eat, and that's it. So, I mean, just focus on that. That's not much.
But it
needs to be good fats.
Needs to have a lot of good fats in, and a little bit of good protein, and a little bit of vegetable, low starch vegetable.
And I just want to finish with this, actually jumped into my mind. Sometimes children don't want to eat eggs, and that's right, because their body actually really doesn't want eggs. I mean chook eggs. Have Pete?
No, sometimes.
And it just means don't give them any for a period of time till they really want them again.
But we have had clients who haven't been able to tolerate eggs, and then they started the relief powder and were able to tolerate them well. So,
but sometimes the child's body has an issue with eggs, and eggs are actually not so good for people with autoimmune disorders. It can really make that worse and stimulate it in the wrong direction. So I often suggest just don't eat any eggs for a month or a couple of months till everything is settled down, and then slowly introduce it again. So that's the one time I think they can probably need to listen to what your child's body is saying. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and there are lots of questions, so I'll do some homework, and come and see us at the clinic and book in for a session.
And we've opened a little coffee corner, so if you come in for a session, your partner or hubby can come and enjoy a coffee at the same time. Or
I think the hubby should go in the room and give the mum a break.
Either or.
Yeah.
You can come and enjoy a good coffee and the raw cakes and good healthy snack.
And also there's a beautiful garden now where you can, huge space where you can walk around and run around.
With the weather improving, it's beautiful out in the garden.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Thank you.
And see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.